Chapter 1. The Mirror of the Soul. Sophie looked at herself in the small bathroom mirror, her face marked by nights of doubt and insomnia. She scrutinized every imperfection, every emerging wrinkle, every extra pound. At 33, she constantly felt out of sync with the beauty standards imposed by society. Although she was a brilliant lawyer, recognized for her professionalism and efficiency, she couldn't shake the feeling of not measuring up. Her days all looked the same. Subway, office, files to process, endless meetings, and back home alone in her small Parisian apartment. Her colleagues appreciated her competence, but she avoided social interactions outside of work. Outings with friends and romantic encounters had become rare, replaced by a solitude she had come to accept as inevitable. One Friday evening, after a particularly exhausting week, Sophie decided to take a walk to clear her mind. She wandered through the cobbled streets of Montmartre, drawn to the bohemian atmosphere of the neighborhood. That's how she found herself in front of an art gallery, attracted by the soft light emanating from inside. Curious, she pushed the door open and entered. The walls were lined with vibrant paintings, abstract works that seemed to tell mysterious stories. She let herself be absorbed by the canvases, gradually forgetting her worries. One painting in particular caught her attention. A woman sitting by a lake, contemplating her reflection in the water. There was such depth in her gaze, a melancholy that Sophie intensely felt. She is beautiful, isn't she? A gentle voice pulled her from her contemplation. She turned and met the gaze of a man in his 40s, with slightly graying hair and sky-blue eyes. He wore simple but elegant clothes, and his smile radiated a comforting warmth. Yes, she is, Sophie responded shyly. She seemed so lost in her thoughts. I'm Mark, he said, extending his hand. I'm the painter. Sophie shook his hand, feeling a strange connection. Nice to meet you, Mark. I'm Sophie. Your works are incredible. They convey such emotion. Mark smiled modestly. Thank you. I try to capture the essence of souls, what lies beneath the surface. Every person has a unique story, and I try to tell it through my paintings. They spent the rest of the evening discussing art, life, and their respective passions. Sophie felt strangely comfortable in his company, as if she could be herself without fear of judgment. At the end of the evening, Mark suggested they meet again, perhaps for coffee or another exhibition. Chapter 2. A New Friendship. In the following weeks, Sophie and Mark began to see each other regularly. They often met in cafes, art galleries, or took long walks along the Seine. Mark was a man of great sensitivity, always listening and sharing his own experiences with disarming honesty. One Saturday afternoon, while strolling through the Luxembourg Gardens, Mark suddenly turned to Sophie. Sophie, I think you are an exceptional person. She blushed, lowering her eyes. I don't know why you say that. I've never felt special. Mark placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. That's exactly it. You have this humility, this authenticity that many people lose as they grow up. You are yourself, and that's what makes you unique and valuable. These words touched Sophie deeply. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Mark seemed to see her in a way she couldn't yet perceive herself, but his words began to plant the seeds of a new self-esteem. Chapter 3. The Beginning of Love. Gradually, Sophie's feelings for Mark changed. What had started as a precious friendship slowly turned into something deeper. Every moment spent with him was a source of joy and comfort. Her fears and insecurities, though still present, seemed less overwhelming in his presence. Mark, in turn, realized that he had fallen in love with Sophie. He admired her inner strength, her passion for her work, and her unwavering kindness. However, he knew Sophie still had a journey to fully accept herself, and he was determined to accompany her on this path. One summer evening, after a day spent exploring an old neighborhood of the city, Mark invited Sophie to dinner at his home. They sat on the terrace, a gentle breeze caressing their faces, and talked about their dreams and desires. Sophie, Mark said softly, I want you to know something. Since I met you, my life has changed in ways I never thought possible. You bring me incredible joy and peace. I've fallen in love with you, not just for your appearance, but for who you are deep inside. Sophie felt her heart beat faster. Mark, I don't know what to say. I've always struggled to love myself, and I don't understand how you can love me. Mark took her hand in his. Love, Sophie, isn't always rational. It's not about checking boxes or meeting expectations. It's about seeing beauty in authenticity, feeling a deep connection and wanting to share your life with someone, despite the imperfections. Tears of gratitude and emotion filled Sophie's eyes. I love you too, Marc. Thank you for accepting me as I am. Chapter 4. The Transformation. Sophie and Marc began to build their life together, each day strengthening their love and understanding of each other. Marc continued to paint, often inspired by Sophie, whose inner and outer beauty became more radiant as she gained confidence. Encouraged by Marc's love and support, Sophie decided to seek help to work on her insecurities. She started therapy, exploring the roots of her feelings of inadequacy and learning techniques to strengthen her self-esteem. Gradually, she began to see changes in herself. Her negative thoughts became less frequent, and she learned to appreciate her own qualities and achievements. Marc was always by her side, encouraging her every step of the way. He took her to yoga classes, where she discovered the power of meditation and mindfulness. They went hiking in nature, where Sophie learned to reconnect with her body and appreciate the simple beauty of the natural surroundings. Chapter 5. Self-Acceptance. One day during a mountain getaway, Sophie and Marc stopped on a hill offering a panoramic view of the valley below. Sophie turned to Marc, her eyes shining with determination. Marc, I want to thank you. Because of you, I've learned to love and accept myself. You've shown me that I can be loved for who I am, not for what I thought I had to be. I finally feel free. Marc took her in his arms, moved by her words. Sophie, you're the one who has traveled this path. I'm just happy to have been able to accompany you. They stayed embraced for a moment, savoring the peace and tranquility of the moment. Sophie knew she still had a way to go, but she was ready to face the challenges ahead with confidence and love. Chapter 6. A Promising Future. Sophie and Marc continued to build their life together, filled with creativity, discovery, and personal growth. Their love was a constant source of strength and support, helping them overcome obstacles and build a life based on acceptance and true love. Chapter 7. The Strength of Love. Over time, Sophie noticed that her moments of doubt and insecurity were decreasing. Marc's reassuring presence, his unwavering support, and his constant love played a crucial role in this transformation. They spent many weekends exploring the French countryside, discovering small picturesque villages, local markets, and hidden hiking trails. One weekend, while walking through a vineyard in the Bordeaux region, Marc suddenly stopped. The vines bathed in the golden autumn sun, creating a perfect backdrop. He turned to Sophie, his gaze filled with affection. Sophie, I have an important question to ask you, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. Sophie's heart began to beat faster, tears already welling up. Marc opened the box, revealing a delicately set ring. Will you spend the rest of your life with me? He asked, his voice filled with emotion. Sophie, tears rolling down her cheeks, nodded before answering with absolute certainty. Yes, Marc, I will. I've never been so sure of anything in my life. They embraced, the world seeming to stop around them. Sophie knew she had found not just a partner, but an ally, a friend, and a true love. She finally felt complete, accepted, and loved for who she was. Chapter 8. The Journey Continues. Sophie and Marc's wedding was an intimate celebration, surrounded by their closest friends and family. The ceremony took place in a flower-filled garden, an enchanting setting that perfectly symbolized the beginning of their new life together. Sophie wore a simple yet elegant dress, radiating happiness and serenity. After their wedding, they decided to travel the world, exploring new cultures, discovering new horizons, and strengthening their bond at every step. Their journey took them from the sunny beaches of Greece to the snowy peaks of the Swiss Alps, each destination bringing its share of adventures and unforgettable memories. During their travels, Sophie continued to work on herself, using the experiences and challenges encountered to strengthen her self-esteem. Marc, always by her side, encouraged her to explore her passions and embark on new projects. Together, they created a series of books combining Marc's artworks with Sophie's inspiring stories, sharing their journey and path with the world. Chapter 9. Rediscovered Serenity. Back in Paris, Sophie and Marc decided to settle in a spacious apartment with a breathtaking view of the Seine. Their home became a haven of peace and creativity, filled with natural light, artworks, and souvenirs from their travels. They regularly hosted dinners for their friends and family, sharing moments of joy and conviviality. Sophie, now recognized as an expert in self-esteem, began giving lectures and workshops on self-acceptance. She wanted to help others overcome their insecurities and find the strength to accept themselves as they were. Her workshops quickly became very popular, attracting participants from all walks of life, inspired by her authenticity and resilience. Marc, on the other hand, continued to paint, finding endless inspiration in his life with Sophie. His works became increasingly recognized, exhibited in prestigious galleries worldwide. Their love and collaboration were evident in every painting, every project they undertook together. Chapter 10. Personal Fulfillment. Over the years, Sophie and Marc built a rich and fulfilling life. They knew how to balance their respective careers, their shared passions, and their mutual commitment. They didn't have children, but their home was always filled with laughter and joy, surrounded by their close friends and family. Sophie, now recognized as an expert in self-esteem, published several books recounting her journey and offering practical advice for those struggling with the same insecurities. Her works were critically acclaimed, inspiring thousands of readers worldwide. Marc, for his part, continued to paint with renewed passion, his works exploring themes of love, resilience, and inner beauty. They often organized exhibitions combining his paintings and Sophie's writings, creating immersive experiences for their visitors. Chapter 11. A Life Filled with Love. As they aged, Sophie and Marc looked back on their lives with deep satisfaction. They had succeeded in creating a true love based on acceptance, understanding, and mutual support. They had overcome life's challenges together, enriching themselves with each experience and strengthening their bond at every step. One winter evening, as they sat by the fireplace, a glass of wine in hand, Sophie turned to Marc and smiled. "You know, Marc, I never imagined my life could be so full and happy. Thank you for showing me that I could be loved for who I am." Marc took her hand and returned her smile. "Sophie, you've taught me as much as I've taught you. Together we've created something beautiful and lasting. I'm grateful every day to have you by my side." They embraced, savoring the warmth and security of their love. They knew that no matter what the future held, they were ready to face every challenge, every new adventure, with the same love and determination that had guided their path from the beginning.